Los Angeles, I'm sure when we score a goal today, everyone will be cheering. That was the prediction of Iranian fan Parsa Tafreshi, who had travelled from New York to Los Angeles to see Iran take on New Zealand on Monday.
In 2017, Respond.io set out to solve a simple problem. Businesses couldn't keep up with customers who had moved to messaging apps. Today, Respond, with its customer conversation management software, has become one of the tech success stories of Malaysia. The startup, headquartered in Kuala Lumpur, has raised a $62.5 million Series B round led by Canva Partners, with participation from Endeavour Catalyst and existing investors. It last raised a $7 million Series A in 2022. The company has grown to $35 million in annual recurring revenue, growing 169% year over year at a 30% profit margin, it tells TechCrunch. Fly Jinnah has sought regulatory approval to launch direct flights between Islamabad and Moscow, marking a potential expansion of air connectivity between Pakistan and Russia. According to reports, the airline plans to commence operations on the Islamabad-Moscow route from July 27, subject to the necessary approvals from aviation authorities. The proposed service is expected to provide travellers with a new direct travel option between the two capitals and further strengthen air links between the two countries.
World-renowned South African jazz pianist and composer Abdullah Ibrahim died on Monday at the age of 91 in Germany. His family announced in a statement the pianist, who recorded more than 70 albums, passed away peacefully, surrounded by his family in Germany after a short illness, the family said.
Finance Minister Mohammed Aurangzeb said on Tuesday that the government's economic planning and fiscal assumptions had remained mindful of possible external and geopolitical risks, including potential second-order impacts arising from prolonged regional uncertainty. The minister made these remarks during a meeting with UK Parliamentary Under Secretary of State for the Middle East, North Africa, Afghanistan and Pakistan Menapi Hamish Falconer MP, held at the Finance Division in Islamabad.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Tuesday said that the federal government would bear the expenses for a 100-megawatt solar power project in Gilgit-Baltistan, GB. The remarks came as the Premier chaired a meeting in Islamabad reviewing the project, according to a statement issued by the Prime Minister's office, PMO.
8 people, including 2 Boeing employees, have been killed after a U.S. Air Force B-52 bomber crashed immediately after takeoff from Edwards Air Force Base in Southern California. The incident occurred at 11:20 local time, 1920 GMT on Monday, while the aircraft had been on a routine test mission. The crash sent a huge plume of black smoke into the air that could be seen for miles. The U.S. ceasefire agreement with Iran has presented Israel's prime minister with a political nightmare, smashing the 3 cornerstones of Benjamin Netanyahu's political career and leaving him trapped in a new security dilemma. How can the man who styled himself as the political whisperer of Washington, with real influence over American politicians, be sidelined quite so comprehensively and insulted so publicly by his key U.S. ally?
Researchers at Osaka Metropolitan University have developed a new artificial photosynthesis system that can generate solar fuel more consistently without relying on battery-based control systems. The technology could provide a simpler and potentially lower-cost approach to storing clean energy. A U.S. Air Force B-52 Stratofortress bomber crashed on takeoff on Monday at Edwards Air Force Base in Southern California's Mojave Desert, bursting into flames and killing all 8 crew members aboard, Air Force officials said. The 8-engine, jet-powered aircraft built to carry a wide array of nuclear and conventional bombs was on a routine test mission when it crashed on the runway at Edwards just after leaving the ground, Air Force Colonel James Hayes said at a press conference hours later.
15-year-old cricket sensation Vaibhav Suryavanshi blew his fuse in an India A game in Sri Lanka and pushed up opposition player after a heated on-field exchange. The spotlight has been on Suryavanshi since his batting heroics in the recent Indian Premier League, IPL, won him a place in India's senior men's team for their T20 tour of Ireland and England.
Japan's central bank has increased its main interest rate to a new 31-year high after a surge in the Bank of Japan, BOJ, raised its so-called policy rate to 1% from 0.75%, its highest level since 1995.
The Australian Federal Police, AFP, are investigating claims that Israeli forces raped and tortured a group of activists who were detained after trying to deliver aid to Gaza by boat. The move was announced shortly after 4 female activists who were part of the global Sumud flotilla in May met with Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong and senior officials, including police, on Monday.
British forces have seized a Russian-linked oil tanker suspected of breaching sanctions while transiting the English Channel on Sunday, in what Prime Minister's significant setback for Moscow's efforts to fund its war in Ukraine. This successful operation delivers yet another blow to Russia and reminds those fueling Russian President Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine. Starmer wrote in a post on X on Hyde. Starmer wrote in a post on X on Sunday.
New York. Kylian Mbappé heads into France's World Cup opener against Senegal on Tuesday, with questions swirling around him after a season that has left the country's biggest football star under immense pressure. The France captain drew a blank in warm-up games against Ivory Coast and Northern Ireland and ended the season at Real Madrid without a trophy, despite finishing as La Liga's top scorer.
Pakistan could improve economic projections for 2027 after the end of the Iran war, but it is still too early to revise the budget. Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb told Reuters, hours after the US and Iran signed a deal to end the fighting, damaged energy infrastructure meant supply chains would take time to return to normal. After the conflict pushed inflation back into double digits, Aurangzeb said.
On May 9, 2026, Malay Mail published a 2-part article by former Indian Commissioner for Indus Waters P.K. Saxena titled Indus Waters Treaty: Asymmetric Obligations, Unequal Concessions and Pakistan's Weaponization. The article tried to do more than criticize Pakistan. It sought to recast the Indus Waters Treaty as a historical injustice to India, to portray Pakistan's use of treaty procedures as obstruction, and to defend India's decision to hold the treaty in abeyance as a legitimate correction of an allegedly unequal bargain.
Lahore, Quetta. Punjab's tax-free budget for the financial year 2026-27 will be presented on Tuesday today during the 43rd session of the Punjab Assembly, which has been summoned by the governor. Meanwhile, the Balochistan governor has convened the Provincial Assembly's budget session for Wednesday tomorrow at 4 p.m. in Quetta. Iran twice battled back for a 2-2 draw with New Zealand on Monday in their frenetic opening match of a World Cup campaign that has been overshadowed by war, politics and protests. The Iranian team's very presence at the Los Angeles Stadium had long felt uncertain after months of military conflict between their nation and the United States. Karachi, the investigating officer, IO, of a case against alleged cocaine dealer Anmol Pinky on Monday filed an interim charge sheet stating that the accused had been involved in drug trafficking for the last 16 years and she used to supply narcotic substances in posh areas as well as among university and school students. The charge sheet was submitted before the judicial magistrate. South. The IO also sought time to submit the final report, stating that he was awaiting forensic reports and responses from the concerned departments regarding the suspect's travel history and assistance in the investigation. A daredevil adventurer known as the Spider-Man of Yemen has died after falling into a volcano crater while attempting to climb vertical rock faces without safety equipment. Authorities said Al-Kaka ibn Antar, 30 was climbing the steep walls of the Hardar Dam volcanic crater in the southern province of Dal on Friday when he lost his grip and fell into the 120-metre, 393 feet crater, according to the Civil Defence Authority, which posted a short video capturing the moment of his fall.
Settle. Belgium and Egypt drew 1-1 in their World Cup opener on Monday after a second-half Belgian equaliser spoiled Mohamed Sassa's 34th birthday. Aima Mashour opened the scoring early in the first half in Seattle, before Romelu Lukaku came off the bench after the hour to force Egypt's Mohamed Hani into an own goal. Karachi. The Policy Research and Advisory Council has expressed serious concern about the budget's failure to address core fiscal vulnerabilities. Debt servicing obligations budgeted at $8.054 billion constitute 68.5% of net federal revenues, while unfunded pension liabilities have reached $1,069 billion. These fixed obligations critically constrain fiscal space for development and social spending, said the PRAC chairman Yunus Daga.
After 3.5 months of war between US, Israel and Iran and an acrimonious temporary ceasefire, a genuine chance at peace seems to be at hand. Early on Monday, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif announced what many around the world were waiting to hear, that an immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, including Lebanon, had been reached. US President Donald Trump followed up shortly, offering congratulations to all. Confirmation of the deal was also received from Tehran. Apart from pitting two competing visions for the Middle East against each other, the war affected regions far beyond the Gulf, as the Iranians blocked the critical Strait of Hormuz, while the Americans enforced a naval blockade of Iranian ports. These grave obstacles in the way of global commerce will now be removed as the US and Iran are scheduled to sign the deal in Geneva on Friday under Pakistan's aegis, as per Mr. Sharif.
Maxi Araujo scored a late equaliser to salvage a 1-1 draw for Uruguay in their World Cup opener against Saudi Arabia, preventing another stunning upset in Group H after Spain's earlier goalless draw with Cape Verde. The Saudis famously beat Argentina 2-1 in their 2022 tournament opener, and they looked on course for another shock, courtesy of Abdullah Al-Amri's 41st minute strike, until winger Araujo stepped up 10 minutes from time at Miami Stadium on Monday. Allegations that Married at First Sight Australia stars were not told about their on-screen partner's previous drug and violence convictions are serious and disturbing, the country's media watchdog has said. The claims, reported in a BBC News investigation on Saturday, have also prompted a response from the UK's media regulator Ofcom, who called them deeply concerning.
Abdullah Ibrahim, who helped define a genre of South African jazz music, has died at the age of 91. His family has said he passed away peacefully, surrounded by his family in Germany, after a short illness, according to a statement released on behalf of the family.
Preliminary deal to end US-Israel war on Iran has sent oil prices tumbling to a 3-month low amid hopes that the Strait of Hormuz will reopen. But it could be months before American consumers see major relief at the petrol pump.
Juba, South Sudan. In the days before Lankian was attacked, doctors at the local hospital rushed to evacuate patients. Some were women in labour. Others were being treated for gunshot wounds. By the evening of February 3, just hours after the last patients were carried out, a bomb struck the empty facility, ripping a crater through its warehouse. Fighting was underway in surrounding areas as South Sudan's military pressed forward with a counter-offensive aimed at retaking territory seized by opposition armed groups. As the army advanced eastward through Jonglei State, it captured town after town, pushing opposition fighters towards the Ethiopian border. FIFA says it has found no evidence that one of the referees at the World Cup breached its code of conduct after he was accused of making a white supremacist hand gesture during one of the games. FIFA's independent disciplinary committee can confirm that after looking into the matter involving support video assistant referee Sean Evans, it has found no evidence of breaches of the FIFA disciplinary code. Football's global governing body told Al Jazeera in an emailed statement on Monday.